Jury selection for Alec Baldwin's criminal trial is set to begin Tuesday in New Mexico. And it comes almost 3 years now after cinematographer Helena Hutchins was shot and killed while filming the movie Rust. Baldwin had been pointing a revolver at Hutchins during a rehearsal when the gun went off. The actor claimed he never pulled the trigger. I'd like to bring in now jury consultant Melissa Gomez. Melissa, great to see you. I mean, these charges against Baldwin were dropped last year, and then the grand jury came back, indicted him one more time. I mean, this is a high-profile trial with a celebrity defendant. No one can get past that right there, the celebrity factor. I mean, will that make it harder to seat a jury?
It could potentially. It just adds another layer of questions that the attorneys and the judge need to ask about their familiarity with Alec Baldwin. Of course, there isn't going to be anyone likely to be anyone on the panel who doesn't know who he is, but the real question is whether they've already gathered opinions based on what they've seen in the media about this specific case. So just knowing him, just being a fan of his or not being a fan of his is not going to be enough to cause the judge to say that person is not eligible to be a juror.
No one can ever predict, how long it might take or what the makeup of the jury might be. But in anticipation of this being high profile, celebrity driven, is this the case where the jury pool from which the attorneys have to make a selection is particularly sizable?
Most likely. So looking at this, I mean, the length of jury selection, the length of time it takes, and the process is really driven by the judge. And from the looks of it, what I've seen is that this judge is expecting openings to happen on Wednesday. So it sounds like she runs a pretty tight ship. So they may have to get a larger pool than usual in order to exclude those people who outright say they can't be fair and impartial, who say they already have an idea of what they think the right decision is, even before hearing the facts of the case.
Wow. You think that's possible, to be able to seat a jury in a case like this, of this caliber, in a day?
The judge is the boss. So it's going to depend on the questions that the attorneys are allowed to ask, how in depth they're able to get to those opinions. But to really get a thorough evaluation of the jurors, it should take more than a day, but we'll see.
What kind of role, if any, do you think a defendant, Alec Baldwin, might play in terms of him sitting in the courtroom, eye contact being made involving the prospective jurors? How influential do you think that might be?
I think it's as influential as any defendant. I mean, the fact of the matter is, though, is that he's someone who's known, and whether he's known by someone who has admired him or someone who is known by someone who criticized him. So this is something that happens with every criminal defendant at every trial, is that jurors are going to be watching him, seeing how he reacts. Is he responding? Does he seem to care? Does he seem concerned? And so, but there may be additional expectations put on him as someone who is a celebrity, in particular, who is an actor, and trying to determine what is he thinking, what is he feeling, and how he's responding to the proceedings.
All right, it's going to be a fascinating week. And thereafter, Melissa Gomez, thank you so much.
You're welcome.